One stock that is about to skyrocket in a few days. The ticker is ANET, ANET. It does what it sounds like. It does networking equipment for Meta and for Microsoft. In 2022, Meta spent $1 billion on ANET networking equipment. Microsoft spent high hundreds of millions. And that represented together maybe a third of ANET's total sales. So that would be worrisome until we remember that the biggest company in the world, NVIDIA, has these same clients. The big names, Amazon, Oracle now. So ANET is in the mix, and we like companies that are in the mix because, as we saw with AMD earlier this week, these companies that are linked to NVIDIA or these big FANG, MANG, Microsoft, Amazon, Netflix, Google companies, MAGs, someone's got to tell me what the S is down in the comments. These are good clients to have. So if you like these type of ideas, hit that like button and let's get started.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
So here is the $1 billion, okay? And the 700 million, okay? On revenues that were 30% increase year over year this year, and they have a revenue growth forecast of up to 25%. Pretty solid. Now you might say, okay, not that really interested in, networking, computer, AI deployment stocks. It's like, well, you ought to be. I think this stock could be a banger. It certainly has gone up a lot since April, almost 200%. Yeah, okay, well, the market has gone up quite a lot as well, 40%, and soar to a sort of similar extent. NVIDIA is almost up as much as ANET, okay? We have this big base building out. So with some other companies, Amazon, for example, yeah, you could say there's sort of a base building out, but I still don't really want to buy a stock that just created on recent earnings and then is just sort of building out like a shelf here. I mean, I guess you could consider buying it over one of these sides, but of all of the big tech stocks to buy, Amazon, Meta right now, which is just sort of fallen off in advance of, the little pullback that the market is having. You can see NVIDIA is down a little bit. AMD, after that big move, is still moving, but it's probably going to, go down sideways a little bit and then sideways, down first, then sideways before it goes back up again, in my opinion. I think the best company to take a look at right now is one that's already building out a base, and has these higher lows. And sure, it pulled down with the market some, but if it holds here, it's still got a pretty good opportunity for you to get 10% or more, risking, just 1% or so. So that's the name of the game, in my opinion. This isn't like a fundamental channel or like a Risky Biscuits channel where I'm going to tell you what the next open door is. Like there are some companies that are interesting that I might mention, recent IPOs that could curl up and get you that 200%, but I'm not here to throw you like 30 companies and have one of them go 200%. I'd rather throw you like what I'm doing right now, like 5 to 8 companies a day. Maybe that's a lot. It is a lot, and then have a few of them, a handful of them, do all right, And I think it's gone all right so far. RGTI. Of course, I mentioned quite a lot of companies, but I will say of the ones I've mentioned, I think in general, you know, they've done okay. Okay, so leave a comment down below if you've seen some stocks I've mentioned do okay, and let's talk about what I think is another good one, ANET. Okay, so talked about some partnerships and kind of what they do. High performance computing again, of course. Anything that's no one's going to say they don't have high performance, hyperscaler technology right now, but they seem to be getting the money from Meta. So, money talks. And this is important. Okay, load balancing. That's like table stakes for machine learning, AI, all these big token jobs. OpenAI is talking about processing, 6 billion tokens a second, which works out to like a third of every word. If a token is a single word, every word spoken by every person in the world, like per second. OpenAI is getting towards that number, surpassing that number in 5-10 years, I guess, of every person, of every word. So it makes sense why they need so much energy. I mean, people need a lot of energy to talk, and they need to be connected. And that's where these connection companies, ANET, Lumen networking infrastructure, come in. Lumen is probably the closest analog to ANET, and they have been turning up, and they look good. Okay, I mentioned them. I'm not going to mention them probably today because buying a stock that just went up 20% in a handful of days is not really super prudent unless it goes sideways a bit. Whereas ANET has done the going up, pulled back, found support here, and support meaning people wanted to buy it, and that means people wanted to buy it on this dip. These people who bought over here, it came down to their price and they didn't want to sell it, so that was supportive of that price agreement. So there was some agreement there that, hey, it's worth this much, and now it's been drifting up. Okay, so there's a lot of companies similar to ANET. These are the juggernauts that are just kind of slow to be too interested in. 1% a day for Cisco, 2% a day for Juniper. Did have some sort of news today. I don't know what that is, but typically wouldn't buy a stock that moves 2% a day, even if Hewlett Packard goes and acquires Juniper. In fact, especially if there's a acquisition that goes through on these companies, because it's probably just going to trade sideways. An example of that is EA did trade sideways. Now, caveat, little note on acquisitions. This was the rumor on EA, okay? Maybe you saw it Sunday night, which would have been here on the 28th. And then on Monday morning, yes, the price did shoot up once the acquisition price was known. However, the acquisition price could have come out to be lower than the price it was currently trading at. So that's a reason why you might not want to buy a company that was just, or has a rumor of being the biggest leveraged buyout in history, EA, an acquisition, because you don't know what the price is going to be. Yes, in this case, it happened to go up. Sure, maybe you're kind of getting crafty and looking for sympathies like Roblox, pumping on that news. But this is the 29th, right? And if we look at Roblox on the 29th, yeah, pumped, but then on the 30th, it just sort of gave it all back and more. So I don't love touching acquisitions at all. With that said, ANET has nothing to do with that acquisition except that they're in the same sector as Juniper Networks. That was a subject of that 14 billion acquisition. And all these companies as well, they just move slowly. I mean, Broadcom, kind of similar, but not the prettiest. I guess it is holding off of this line here. Maybe you don't have these lines on your computer, on your broker, on your Weibo, your Robinhood, your Fidelity, or whatever you got going on here. But these lines are widely used, so much so they often are coming by default on Robinhood now. This one is 50 days, this one's 20 days, this one's 10 days. And then the big one is you want to look at stocks, in my opinion, that are above this 200-day one, this green one, that is a 200-day moving average. So that's a little note on moving averages. This is the stock. This is the level, probably 143 off of here. If we really look back, there's blue skies. And now the question is if it can hold that level, which seems like, kind of held here-ish, There's some wicks and whatnot, but sort of drifting up. Risk a percent, which on $100+ stock is, a little over $1. And look for 10, a little under $10 to get that 10% move. I guess it would be a little bit over $10 to get that 10% mover up or more to the upside. So that's the stock. That's a little bit about the stock. Not really going to jump into too deeply all their competitors and why this revenue of $2 billion and this 30% year over year and this forecast being high is better than these other ones. You certainly could, but I'm not really here to compare PE ratios because the market isn't really comparing PE ratios. And these analyst ratings might be coming to those conclusions using PE ratios or purporting to do so. But if if we look up, Dell and say, sure, it has the lowest PE ratio, maybe it's undervalued. Do you really want to buy Dell right now? Probably not. It basically is at the same spot it was almost, 10 months ago. A year ago, and it just looks like a choppy sort of POS. So I think ANET's the move, gave you some levels, and if you like these type of ideas, hit that like button. If you want to chat, head over to stockscommunity.com. You can join for $25 for 7 days. It's a Discord room. It's like a Facebook group. Discord is the biggest. It's like Slack, but more widely used. Not as widely used as Facebook groups, but Facebook groups is not really for everyone. And Discord is easier to keep organized in there, in my humble opinion. So try that out if you want to dive in there and ask some questions. I do see the comments. I'm probably going to be responding to them less because it helps me focus on the room and about finding the best ticker of the day, which I do put in the room in the morning. This video might come out a little later than I record it because YouTube doesn't like when I just put out a bunch of videos all at once, because people don't like that either. It makes kind of sense. So hit that subscribe button if you want to keep up to date, and I will see you in the next one.
This is Sam Putnam. This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.
This is Sam Putnam.